What's up, everyone? It's Deltlead, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Faster Than Light. This is the 20th stream in the series, and we have gone a long way in these past 20 streams. We are now at the very edge of the technology required to exceed the speed of light in Kerbal Space Program. So we've unlocked antimatter. We're using it now. In the last live stream, we had tested out this antimatter catalyzed fusion plasma engine on board the KSP Endurance, our new long-range interplanetary ship, and it worked wonderfully. It's wonderfully efficient, more efficient than anything we've attempted to use so far by a lot. It's got multiple fuel modes, which makes it very versatile and convenient. Right now, this design uses two primary fuel modes, that is liquid hydrogen and liquid methane. The liquid hydrogen is the high efficiency fuel mode, and the liquid methane is the high thrust mode. So we have these two wrapper drop tanks for the liquid methane, and then this cord tank here is our liquid hydrogen. We still have a decent amount of fuel left on board, 1,250 units of liquid methane and 36,000 units of liquid hydrogen. And this is after completing a mission where we went from Kerbin down to low solar orbit, so very, very tight solar orbit. We then got an encounter with Moho and then came back up to Kerbin. And we still have fuel in the tank. So this thing is incredibly powerful, incredibly efficient. It's going to let us do a lot of cool stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to reuse this ship. I want to take some Kerbols to Eve. I want to take Kerbols to Drez, and I want to take Kerbols potentially to a comet in this live stream. I think that is what we want to do. So we have a couple of comets that have been discovered, and they're a little tricky to get to. We have Boboli 1 and Teffield 1. These are the two comets we've discovered. And as they make their next pass by the sun, I want to try and get a rendezvous, an intercept with these comets. They're very hard. It is extremely hard to rendezvous with a comet because of how eccentric their orbit is. It requires so much energy. But with an antimatter engine, I think it's more than reasonable to get that kind of mission. Clocky Clock, welcome to the live stream. It's good to have you here. We're gearing up now. We're gonna send some fuel to the station, right? We need to top off the tanks. And I'm just going to build a relatively basic vertically launched disposable rocket. Not anything crazy with this design. It's just going to go up and drop off the fuel. I tried to make a ship similar to the Dagger single stage to orbit that we had been using that would carry enough fuel. And I was just having some issues with the design. Couldn't really get it quite to work. Certainly it's possible to get one to work. But I ended up just throwing in the towel for the time being. We don't need a full huge tank of liquid hydrogen, and we don't need a full huge tank of liquid methane. I think this will do us. 12,000 units and 33,000 units should top us off. Should be more than enough to top us off, honestly, because the methane tanks are only yay big. And I just want to confirm, because these are basically empty. This one, 7,000, so 14,000 total, and this carries 12,000 total. So we should have enough fuel to top off all of our fuel tanks with this. I'm also going to bring monopropellant, partially because we need to rendezvous this thing. And then also partially to top off the monopropellant tanks on board as well. So we'll grab the big monopropellant tank. Train Shark, welcome as well. My favorite viewers are here. All we're missing is Green Juno and Avery, and we're all set. We got the gang together. This will be the tanker. It's just going to be three fuel tanks. The control node. I guess we can add a command ring as well. Yeah, that'll be good. And then we'll add the RCS blocks. Very, very simple. Keeping it simple on purpose. Not trying to set any records here. And we'll put this right on the center of mass. Right there. I am going to scale these up just a smidge since I'm only going to put one set. And we'll use the 5-horn design right there. So that'll be our tanker. And then we just need to get this thing into orbit, which shouldn't be too crazy. This thing weighs 12 tons. Yeah, we've gotten heavier up there before by a lot. So let's go 2.5 meter decoupler, 2.5 meter fairing, and build the fairing. Just like that. So that's our fairing or our tanker. Where are we going? We're going to go kind of everywhere, really. I'll show you once we kind of get out there what the overall plan is. Right now, I just want to focus on getting the fuel up to the ship. We can probably get away with just the regular Rockamax, and then I'm going to use the skiff. Yeah. Another decoupler right there. And then we're going to do the classic Rockamax, mainsail, maybe? Can I get away with just a single mainsail for the power? 0.69? No, I cannot. Okay. Twin bore it is. I love the twin bore. It's such a good engine. Some people who watch my stream don't like the twin bore, but they're wrong. And that's okay. They're allowed to be wrong. It's America. It's America where I am. It's whatever country you're in. But in my country, you're allowed to be wrong. Grand Tour, not quite a Grand Tour. For this one, not quite a Grand Tour. I think we're going to save the official Grand Tour, like legit Grand Tour, for when we have our Faster Than Light. Because I want there to be some sort of thing to cap the stream off. Some epic final mission. And if we do the Grand Tour before, then there isn't really any, any final thing to do, right? No, we're going to try getting Kerbals to Eve and to Drez in this stream. And that'll be as grand of a tour as we do. Let's put that there. I'm going to throw a couple of Bobcats on this for the extra thrust and the extra fuel. Does that give me a working thrust-weight ratio? Not quite. Not quite. Okay. So maybe this is a little heavier than I was initially thinking. But that's okay. We can make it work. Make the boosters a little lighter. 1.07. Well, we can barely land on Eve with the technology we used for that mission, right? That is true. We barely landed on Eve. However, we're not going to be using such backwards and simple technologies for this next mission. No, sir. We're going to be using futuristic technology that is going to let us land on Eve with Kerbals and bring them back. Because that's the other crucial part. What if we do solid rocket boosters? Will solid rocket boosters give me the thrust-weight ratio? Yes, they will. Okay. So that'll be our boosters taken care of. And I want to use these nose cones. Because I like how they look. There we go. There we go. Looks good. Scoot that out just a smidge. And up just a smidge. Okay. 1.39 thrust to weight ratio. Upper stage. We'll have 355 meters per second. 442 meters per second. That's not a lot. That really is not a lot. Hold on. We're using the right engine, right? Skiff? Yeah. Okay. Oh, no. Not the bear. Not the bear shroud. Give me the shrouded one. I didn't think it would be that heavy. really didn't. Liquid methane, liquid hydrogen. It weighs 12 tons. It doesn't weigh like a ton. I mean, it weighs 12 tons, so I guess it does weigh a ton. All right, well, try to do it the cheap way. It didn't work. We're going to do it the expensive way now. Not like crazy expensive, but slightly more expensive. We'll swap it out. Mainsail, no. Mastodon, yes. I'm going to do it slightly differently here. Move you up. That's right. We're going more Delta Heavy style launch vehicle. And yes, we'll make it orange. Obligatory orange. 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 And orange. And then arrow. We'll put the big orange nose caps on them. There we go. Look at that. And then let's do the external fuel ducts. Put them lower. Just like that. Okay. This will give us thrust weight ratio of 1.16, coming up to 0.68. Okay. Okay. Man, how heavy is this? Do we need SRBs on top of this? I think it wants SRBs on top of this, man. We'll give it SRBs, sure. I think maybe some kickbacks. That's not lined up right. Still not lined up right. Come on, get... Wait. Wait. Let's do the ones that stand off a bit. Yeah? Yeah, that should do. Okay, let me look straight at this. Right? Like that? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now these are attached. Delta 4, yeah, Delta 4 heavy That's what this is. I'm trying to keep it relatively cheap. So I don't want to promote up to the 3.75 meter fairings in those really heavy fuel tanks and engines. Yes, would it get it into orbit? Yeah, 100%, but it's just overkill, you know? It's just overkill. Pop a couple Separatrons on these bad boys to get it away. There we go. Now I just got to get all the Separatrons on the right pieces. So let's start with the engines. Go down here. These come down here. And then it should be these 4. And then these 2. And that should do it. Let's auto strut all of it to keep it steady. And that should do it. We'll call this the Tanker Mark 1. Keep it simple. Save and launch. It doesn't need to get super high up, so my total delta V for the rocket's kind of low, especially that upper stage does not have a ton of fuel. So adding the solid rocket boosters and the extra fuel tanks on the side, that'll be enough that the upper stage should really just have to do the rendezvous. And then whatever's left we can do with the RCS thrusters. But I am not a smart person. And I forgot electricity and I forgot comms. But at least I remembered before I got off the launch pad. So, we're improving a little bit, Does not need fancy comms. Just a Communitron 16S. And then for electricity, again, does not need to be fancy. Just a bunch of these basic solar panels will do. We'll arrange these like up here at the top. Okay, now it's ready. Now it's ready. We'll use the internal batteries on the remote guidance unit for power. I'm not going to put additional batteries on this. As long as it has the ability to maintain a charge with its solar panels, it'll be fine. We'll take this up into orbit, rendezvous with the ship, and then we'll deorbit it with monopropellant from its RCS thrusters. But this will give us all the fuel we need to top off all the tanks. And away we go. We got a 1.83 thrust weight ratio, a little high. Let's start our pitch over. And solid rockets are running out of fuel faster than liquid rockets, about what we want to see. It's holding its course just fine. No issues there, which is good. I'll go ahead and lock prograde here. I'm just watching my time to apoapsis and my total or current apoapsis, making sure those are climbing at a steady rate. Separate the solid rocket boosters, and then we'll rotate for the separation of the liquid boosters eventually. Go ahead and max out our throttle here for a second, just to get up a little bit. And that looks about good. We'll bring it down now. Maintain that lower thrust as we climb into orbit. About a 1-to-1 thrust weight ratio should serve us well here. The target is on the other side of the planet, unfortunately, but... Oh, I don't want to switch to. No, I want to target. There we go. But we'll have enough fuel. It looks like actually plenty of fuel. Actually, more fuel than I thought. I don't know why the game was saying I only had 400 meters per second. Okay, I was right to be confused. That did seem low. Apoapsis and periapsis, 100 kilometers. Go ahead and ditch our upper stages, or our liquid boosters, not our upper stages, and pretty much just cruise up here with this. I'm going to pitch up slightly. We're a little flat in the upper atmosphere now, but not quite getting out of the atmosphere anymore, so we need to raise our apoapsis here. We can do that by pitching up. I do want to keep my orbit low, because I want to try and catch up to the station, or the ship. Let's fix the staging order here. Are we out of juice? Ooh, we're out of juice. Ah, fuck. All right, we do need batteries. Dang flabbit. Okay. Okay. We'll put batteries on it, I guess. I thought it would have been fine, but nope. Apparently it needs batteries. Let's slap just a bunch of basic batteries here. Just a bunch. Just eight little batteries. Also, you didn't say barley, you said barley. Face cam when. I used to stream with a camera. I have the webcam set up. However, since I've moved, so I used to live in Hawaii and I had a room that was a little bit better set up. And I had better lighting. The room I currently have my desk in is just not as good, and I'm not happy with the lighting. So I'm not going to use a face cam until I can fix that. At some point, I probably will bring it back, but not yet. Not now. All right, we're restarting this launch. Do it at 3 times time acceleration because it's all the same. Okay. Looking good so far. Little vertical for my liking. Let me see if we can't flatten this out a little bit. Separate those. Okay. And I guess this will get us into orbit and then some. Just kind of a oversight on my part, but whatever. I'm actually going to throttle down and drop this before we get fully into orbit here. Just want to get this barely up. There we go. All right. So we're in orbit. Set the endurance as the target. Go prograde. And around we go. What do you mean boil off? Oh, fuck. Is it going to be enough to be an issue? What if we go radial out? How much am I losing? I'm continuously... Oh, my goodness. I keep forgetting about cryo. Oh, Avery's here. Hey! 3 of the 4 regulars. We're just missing the 1 now. I'm struggling with the most basic of missions, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's up with me today. Let's try and get this figured out. I forgot that we're actually carrying stuff that needs to stay cool, and because it needs to stay cool, it needs power. So we're going to put the big battery on it. And then we're going to put the big solar panels on it. Sort of the big solar panels. I'm going to put more solar panels on it. What if we do 4 here, and then we do 4 up here? Also, I can't believe I didn't realize this until now, but I need a docking port if this is going to work. Okay. Okay, now we have something that should theoretically work. Let's try it again. I'm not going to build the Endurance from Interstellar. Like the actual ship from Interstellar. I'm not going to do that. At least not right now. We named the ship the Endurance. And it is pretty powerful. It's the most powerful ship we've built. It's also the most expensive ship we built. It cost $1 million flat. Or a little over $1 million, actually, to get it like totally up off the launch pad. Okay. Rinse and repeat our last mission. Up we go. Try and correct our we're a little off the equator here. There we go. It's good enough. Good enough for government work. This rocket is too Kerbal. It's not too Kerbal. This is not the most Kerbal of rockets. Certainly not the most Kerbal of rockets we have launched in this series. We have done worse. Okay. Boosters away. It's just our upper stage now. We should have plenty of electric charge. We have 4,000 now instead of 800. We're a little south, but I think it's correctable. Okay, that's basically orbit. Okay, that's basically orbit. Let's set this as the target. I'm actually going to try and raise our apoapsis here. Disregard. Disregard. We're just going to do it this way. Come around to target periapsis. And we're going to burn to raise apoapsis way up here. Because we brought so much extra fuel, why not use it? And around we go a second time. Ooh. Actually, accidentally was a good intercept. Or a workable intercept. Maybe not quite good. A usable intercept. Let's go retrograde to target. Got a lot of relative velocity to bleed off here, but we can make it work. And as we get closer, push my retrograde dot onto the anti-target. There we go. Sub 1 kilometer. 700 meters. 600 meters. 500 meters. 400 meters. 300 meters. 2. 1. Good enough for me. Okay. Should be coming up on it. Yep, there it is. Burn off the rest of this fuel here. Great. Decouple. RCS on. Docking mode on. Lock on target. And closing in at 2 meters per second. This is the actual tankers. We've got a methane tank, hydrogen tank, and a monopropellant tank. That's all the consumables this ship needs, aside from antimatter, which we'll have to acquire antimatter some other way, basically. The ship can actually recharge its own antimatter. So we'll probably just do that. I'm not going to bother trying to ship antimatter up to it. set that as the target. We're going to pass over the top here. Just like that. So we'll kind of drift into position here. Nice. This should actually go fairly well. Oh, very close now. Very close now. Just a little bit closer. And SAS off. Docked. Boom. Done. All right, let's top off our tanks. Let's start with the methane. And we will push methane out. Top these guys off. Okay, methane is filled. That was easy. And then we'll do the hydrogen tank next. This one needs a little less than 30,000. We've got a little bit more than 30,000. And we'll fill that up. Transferring quite nicely. Done. We can do that. So the only other thing now is our monopropellant. Which, isn't there a way to bring up all the monopropellants? I thought there was. Oh well. We'll just select each of these tanks individually for now. Where's tank 4? There it is. And then we'll fill them up from the big tank. The monopropellant tanks are filling up, and that'll be it. We can detach the tanker, mostly empty. Oh, wrong button. Hold on. There we go. We'll be able to detach the tanker and, geez, there we go. There we go. Okay, so now they're all topped off. We can detach the tanker now. Finally. Undock from here probably. Yep. Switch to the tanker. SAS, RCS. Pull away. Let's go retrograde orbit. And we'll deorbit. Leave the ship behind. Not going to try and recover this. Just going to let it hit the ground. And that'll be it for this thing. We're already out of range, so I got to switch to the endurance manually. Can't quick switch. We got too far away too fast there. So here's our goal. We got to do a couple things. First thing we'll do is we'll top off the antimatter, because we have some, but we don't have as much as I'd like. We have 1,355 units of antimatter. We have onboard antimatter collectors specifically for this purpose. So we can pop these out. And once these are deployed, they will start bringing in antimatter very slowly at its current rate. But if we raise our orbit, we can bring the rate that we're ingesting antimatter up by a large factor. While we're up in orbit, refueling our antimatter, that'll allow us to process the science we have on board. Let's make sure my engine is selected to liquid hydrogen. It is. Full throttle. Now this thing, what's cool about this thing is it both has a decent amount of thrust, actually. Like right now with liquid hydrogen, I'm getting 186.79 kilonewtons. A good amount of thrust, really, like not bad. And my ISP is 41,000. And that's pretty cool in my book. You know, that's like a cool number to have. I can also burn this engine in time warp, which is also fun because it makes long burns short burns. Then we'll come up to about 880. Right about there. Okay, so to raise my orbit from low Kerbin orbit to high Kerbin orbit took me, how much fuel did we burn just now? 700 units of liquid hydrogen. That's nothing. That is so little fuel. And now that we're up here, I can raise the orbit the rest of the way using my super duper high efficiency engine until we're in basically a circular orbit in this highly radioactive belt, basically. I don't know if it's actually good that our Kerbals are up here. It may not be. But, you know, who am I to tell the Kerbals where they can and can't go? It's where they want to be right now. Okay. That should be good enough. So now our flux is... where is it? 6.83 times 10 to the negative 5, which is still, you know, a small number. But you can watch the antimatter actually start to come up here, and it is starting to register. And if we time warp, it will go up. It will also give you epilepsy if you stare at it for too long, but we'll go ahead and, while we're up here, transmit the science we've got. Another 245 science added to the cause. Excellent. And yeah, with time, this will start to store more and more antimatter, right? Now, while we allow that to go, we do have one more mission way out in Jewel. We have another major ship with a large portion of our Kerbals on board, the KSP Hermes 2. We're going to switch to this guy and let our endurance stack up on a healthy amount of antimatter in its tanks. While that's going on, we're going to take the KSP Hermes 2, a much larger ship using much older, outdated technologies now. You know, outdated technologies like the open cycle gas core nuclear rocket engine. And we're going to take this guy to Pole, which is right here. So, it is an inclined orbit, which means we're going to have to do a plane change. We have the fuel for this, though. Yeah, we've got the fuel for this for sure. We'll do a normal burn at the descending node. It'll only cost us a few hundred meters per second, since we're so far away from Joule's sphere of influence now. And select maneuver node and time warp. Actually, there we go. For some reason, when I time warp and I lock on a node, this thing locks on the opposite node, which is fun. But while we're up here, we can actually watch the dance of the planets here. Lathe, Tylo, Val, Bop, theoretically somewhere around there. We can watch them all in a cosmic dance while we set up for this burn. And we'll go ahead and light the engine here. Now, this rocket, this ship, has been a great ship for us, and it's done a lot of great research. It has taken Kerbals farther than ever before, and I really do appreciate that. However, it is almost time to retire it already, even after its first mission. It simply is outdated. Because we can move all of this hardware for a lot smaller package. Much smaller, much easier to fly package. Okay. We'll kill it. We're on Elu, or not Elu, Pol's orbital plane now. And here's the cool thing about a transfer like this, is we can just pop up our... Oh, that actually was not hard at all. That's our encounter right there, I guess. Well, I guess it's time to burn. We are kind of already here. So no time like the present. We'll go stability assist. Warp to the burn. Which the node I've selected is 20 minutes away. Let time wind down. While we are approaching our burn node, that also gives us an opportunity to cool off the engines a little bit. They got pretty hot there. All right, we can fire up the gas core engine a second time. And you can see that giant magenta plume of plasma coming out the back of the rocket. It's still a very high efficiency rocket. Don't get me wrong, this thing performs pretty well. Specific impulse of 6,200 right now. The only challenge is that, one, its specific impulse is in the 4 digits, whereas my antimatter rocket has a specific impulse in the 5 digits. And the other real issue with this is the impulse goes down with heat. And this thing heats up pretty quickly. It's generating a lot of heat. So, because it's generating so much heat, we're a little limited in how long we can do a burn before the ISP really drops off. At maximum waste heat, when all of our radiators, these 4 large ones in the back and these 6 small ones in the front, at equilibrium, we get an ISP of around 2,800, and you can see this number tick down here. So we do lose a lot of efficiency as we burn. However, it's still like a good efficiency, right? 2,800 is still a good efficiency. We've been able to do the whole Joule mission, going to all these different planets. We still have more than half of our fuel tank left. Even though I totally just blew past our target there. We'll correct with RCS. Alright, that's good enough. Poll periaps 29293. Let's turn RCS off now. Can I get that any lower? No, I cannot get that lower. Oh, yes, I can. There we go. That'll do. I'll take 65. All right, we'll time warp around here. And as we approach, we can do our final round of science up here. Our final collect, as it were, on Pol, which is the last moon of Joule that we have set out to explore. Okay, and we are here. Pole periapsis of 65 kilometers. It's time to do the science. So, I'm going to aim my camera over here, which makes everything a little bit easier on such a large rocket. Let's do the magnetometer report, and we'll also log magnetospheric data. And send all of that to the lab to be processed. Pressure data, same deal. Gravity data, same deal. And temperature data, same deal. So we'll transmit labs. And then we need to get out and reset this. But before we do that, we'll do the crew reports, transmit that as well. And then process these in the lab. I can do the magnetometer again. And this has brought us up to 2,000 science. Let's go ahead and transmit this one. We'll have Mergus. Nope. Not transfer. Mergus. EVA. There we go. Here he is. Let's have him do the EVA report. Keep. Store. And then let's have him come over here. Restore. Restore. Conduct. Transmit. Observe. Transmit. Restore. Restore. Observe. This one goes to the lab. Conduct. This one goes to the lab. Okay. So we've done that. I can take another EVA report. I'm going to store this one up here. We'll transmit one. And then process the other EVA report in the lab. And that'll conclude our high pull orbit science. Board the ship. And let's go look at our data. So this one will transmit. This one will process. That'll keep the data in our labs topped off. We can also transmit the science we've gathered here. Both of these. Okay. Now we can see pull up there. It's greenish yellow mottled surface above us. And we are falling towards it. As we get closer, we'll have an opportunity to conduct low orbit research. We may actually want to go retrograde here. Belay that. Not retrograde, but radial in. And try and get my orbit a little bit lower here, I think. That's probably low enough. Should we actually get into orbit around Pole? I think we have a unique opportunity to try it. Let's line ourselves up. Because our actual like velocity here, because we were in a pretty high orbit when we went to Pole, we don't have that much relative velocity, so getting into orbit's actually not going to cost us all that much. Which works to our advantage here. Because it should be relatively easy to just slow ourselves down enough, get captured. Yeah, we'll go for it. We'll go for the orbit here. Kind of a slow, long burn. I'm gonna not try to do a full like circular orbit, just a elliptical orbit here. I think like that. Maybe not quite that extreme. Yeah. There we go. Like an 8-hour periodicity should be plenty. Let's come back over here. We're going to do all of our experiments again. So magnetometer. This is still high over pole. Okay. How low is low? Hold on. Let's get lower, I guess. I guess pole's a very small moon, so Low orbit must be really, really, really tight here. We'll come up to apoapsis. I'm going to do a low thrust, low efficiency, low thrust burn here. I think 14 is as low as I really want to go. Oh, engines are still burning. Okay, that's fun. Thank you, game, for doing that to me. Well, let's get our orbit out from below the surface. That'd be great. Okay. Engines are off now, right? We're all good? All good? Yeah? Okay, I think we're all good now. I would bet you sub 20 kilometers is near, near space. Okay, transmit. Send it to the lab. We'll do the same for the larger magnetometer. Once it pops all the way out, there we go. Transmit that one. Transmit that one. We'll run this one again for the labs. And then we'll do pressure. And temperature. Transmit. Keep. Great. Crew report time. All right, Mergus, you're going to EVA. Take an EVA report. Keep. Store that one. Hey, flip around there. Let's get the Science Junior. Restore that. Restore the mystery goo. Conduct material science and observe. Transmit. Transmit. Restore. Restore. Observe it. This one goes to the lab. I think this one we can restore. This one we can restore. Let's do another EVA report. Oh, from the Highlands this time. Excellent. And that should be good as far as those experiments go. All right, now we can process these all in the lab. And what I'm going to do next, since we're in the orbit, we're already here, so it's free. Let's pull up the KerbNet access. And if you're not using KerbNet to help coordinate your science, you're wrong. This is an incredibly powerful tool because it lets you see where you are in respect to biomes on a planet. And then there are certain science, even orbital science like the gravity detector, which you can do for each biome. So I'm going to do it for each of these biomes, and that'll give me quite a bit. So we're passing over the lowlands here, and then we're going to pass into the highlands, which we've already done the highlands. And we're in the midlands now, so I can do all the same experiments again. Log gravity, yeah. Process them in the lab. We're out of comms, so we'll just keep that one. And then we'll transfer it to this guy. Since we're out of comms, I'm not going to be able to scan the planet anymore. There we go. But then as we pass over further surface features, we can maybe find another one. Highlands, lowlands, no, doesn't look like it. And as we move away from the planet, more highlands. Pole might just be highlands, lowlands, midlands. Not seeing any mountains or anything. No. Well, we can still rinse and repeat these all for the high orbits. So that's midlands. We'll wait for the biome to shift again. Just going to keep refreshing this. There's lowlands. And just like that, we've basically quintupled the amount of data we would have gotten. If I can get highlands again for high orbit, that would be great. Still lowlands, still lowlands. Let's bring in our field of view a little bit. There we go. It's midlands again. Oh, we just had highlands for a second. Okay. Midlands again. Almost into highlands again. Come on. Give it to me. There we go. Okay, we've already done highlands and midlands. So that's all the gravity data there is for us to get, basically. But that's really not bad. Let's take a look at total. How much science do we have? 5,383 data, 2,208 data, 39 science, 50 science at a rate of 43 and 27 per day. Really pretty good. So next objective then is coming back to Kerbin, right? So this ship is pretty much done. We're going to decommission it. It's had a excellent run. You know, I really can't complain, but its time has come, you know? We've enjoyed it while it lasted, but it's just a little outdated at this point, I think. And so what we're going to do is bring it back to Kerbin, and I think what we're going to do, beyond just bringing it back to Kerbin, I'm going to put this section, maintain this section in orbit as a liquid hydrogen fuel farm, because we've already spent the time and energy to get it up here, and we have a decent amount of fuel left on. Whatever we have left over once we get back to Kerbin, we'll use that as a refueling stop for our other ship. In the meantime, I'm going to set Kerbin as our target, and we'll leave directly from Pole here to Kerbin. Let me look at my quick reference transfer angle. So it needs to be slightly behind Joule, and it's right now directly under us. So we actually have to let time pass. And I knew this would happen. We're going to have to let a whole orbit basically occur here as Kerbin moves away. Give it time. Eventually it'll come back around here. But that's okay. We knew we were going to have to wait a little bit longer. They've only been up here for 9 years, guys. That's not that bad. You know, it's not that bad. That's pretty bad. It's a pretty long mission. Of note, these comets here are at the nearly at the top of their arcs. By the time we finish this mission, I think it might actually come out to be a conveniently good time for us to use our antimatter-powered KSP Endurance to go and do the comet missions. If there were an option, sometimes a contract will show up to bring back ice chunks from comets. If that were available to us, I think that would be excellent. Really fantastic opportunity for us. In the meantime, while we're wiggling around out here, already our lab has produced another 6,700 science, which is phenomenal. That's amazing. And 7,000 in this one, which is, again, just like a crazy... That's crazy. It's great. We'd love to see that. So we're going to go ahead and start transmitting, and it's going to take a long time to transmit all that science. We're at 50 times time acceleration and only 18, 19, just now 20% on the first one. The weird thing about transmission progress is it actually isn't much faster when you time warp more. And like when you get out to a full 100,000 or 100,000 times acceleration, it stops altogether. We'll try it at just 1,000. Yeah, at 1,000 it doesn't even transmit, so we'll do it at 100. That's the fastest time warp for the fastest upload speed, but this upload speed is actually slower than if we slowed time down a little bit. It's kind of the decent medium between the two. So we've got some time to kill here. Our overall goal now is to get this thing to Kerbin. And with the science that it's about to give us, now we're at 10,000 and we're starting on the second one. We'll be at 17,000. That's going to get us really close to faster than light technology. I don't think the one thing I'm unsure of as far as decisions for this live stream, we could probably get it just with the science we have on board the ship as it processes it all. We could probably get faster than light technology. However, there's still a lot of technologies that we have not unlocked yet. And I'm kind of torn between, do we go straight for FTL? Or do we try and close out the whole tech tree and leave FTL as the last thing to get? We'll see. I'm not 100% sure at this point. 72%. You can watch our science here. $87, almost there. 89. 90%. 94. 97. There it is. So we're at 18,000 science points. And that's great. It's just wonderful. Let's go ahead and bring us back to full time acceleration here as Kerbin makes its way around. We're nearly at our transfer window here. Nearly there. Okay, I think this is it. I think we're close enough we can start planning our return trip. So, we need to burn... no. Cancel that. We'll burn down here. There we go. And we need to get all the way down to Kerbin orbit, which is going to be down here. I'm going to finish playing. I'm going to take a quick break, actually. We'll finish planning out this burn and do that when I get back. So I will be back momentarily. Everyone hang in there for just a second. All right, I am back, and we will continue our mission. So, I'm not sure if we actually have an ideal launch angle from pole here. We may have to do something a little less efficient, because it looks like our... Yeah, we may have to just get out of Pole's orbit. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to get out of Pole's orbit, which is not super hard. I'm not even going to do a planned burn for this. We're just going to burn prograde here. Come on. That's the other thing I don't like about this engine. So it just flips around and starts burning the wrong way if I time warp. And even if I have just a little bit of thrust left, it'll start doing that. That does actually get very annoying. Okay. That'll be enough for now. Now that we're out of pole orbit, I can actually start planning this. Let's come down here real quick. So let's start our maneuver here. And let's just get out of the Joule system for now. Try and get as close to a retrograde trajectory as possible on our escape. And that looks about right. And then bring this down until we've intersected with Kerbin. Okay, so that's our closest point of approach right there. Now we can just fine-tune this until we get something more to our liking. Which, that's it right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lock on this maneuver node. Let the ship come around. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and transmit the science we have on board, which is another 3,500 again, just from that. Transmit that as well. How much data do we have left on board? Not much in this one, only 460, but the one up here has 3,500 left, so pretty good. I think by the time we get back to Kerbin, most of that science will be all processed away, and we can just basically just go from there. So 23 days till the burn, and 1,300 meters per second. Not too worried about the Delta V costs at this point. We've got more than enough fuel, still more than half of our total fuel that we started with when we left Kerbin. So the first 2,481 science is away. We have 21,000 science now. Add another 1,400, bringing us up to 22,000. Pretty good. Looking pretty good overall. And as we line up here with our burn, go ahead and end the time warp early. So light the engine. And we are going to time warp through this burn because it would take a long time to actually get it done. What do you want, cat? Come here. Come here. Come here. There we go. Oh, you're gonna purr into the microphone? Silly girl. Hi. Yeah, good girl. Being goofy, trying to get my attention. Trying to get my attention. Okay. If you want to sit on the desk, you have to sit off to the side so I can see what I'm doing. Or don't. Okay, bye. Alright, 900 meters per second away. Give it a little bit more time warp. We're at 50 times time acceleration here. That's how slow this burn is. It's also indicative of how hot our ship is probably at this point. Waste heat's about at equilibrium at 65,000, so our engine should now be at its equilibrium efficiency, which is sitting right now at about 4,000, but it actually will drop when we come out of time warp here. Unfortunate, but still tolerable. We still have 300,000 units of fuel left. So really, like, not a problem. All right, 80 meters per second left. And I'll slow down time acceleration as we get closer. 40. We'll go to physics time acceleration vice actual time warp so we can close out the last of this burn here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cut the engines. Close enough. That doesn't actually get us an encounter, apparently, but we'll do a correction burn. It'll be fine. So we are leaving Joule's orbit, which should be... Where is Joule? Is it too far away for us to see already? That was quick. Where is the big jolly green giant? Somewhere over there, I think. Oh gosh, where is it? That's not it. No, that's not it. It should be somewhere directly behind us. I guess it's already too far away. It's gone from render distance. Oh, that's unfortunate. You can actually... Now that I'm looking, where was it? We just passed it. I just saw it. There it is. Okay. You see that right there? Let me zoom in a little bit. This little spot right here is where the skybox tiles, I think. And that's why all those stars are warped. Either that or there is a massive black hole here, and it's causing gravitational lensing. I'll let you be the decider of which one it is. Anyway, we are basically kicked free of the Joule system, and we'll plan a correction burn once we get out here. There we go. Okay. Closest point of approach, 229,565.7 kilometers. Let's do a burn here, shall we? And I'm going to focus view on Kerbin. And let's get rid of everything. Everything else except for the planets. Clean up our map view, make it easier to see. So, it looks like we just overshot it. We need to come back a little bit. Nope. Oh, there we go. So just a small plane change, apparently. Okay. Too far. There she is, right there. Okay. So that's our periapsis. Let's get up in the orbital plane till we're about equatorial. It's not actually going to be equatorial, but once we're close, it makes it easier. Make this more sensitive. Jeez. That's actually very, very sensitive still. Make it less sensitive. There we go. I'm going to do a very fine-tuned adjustment of our orbit. Very, very fine-tuned. Bring this in nice and tight. And we want to come around the other side of Kerbin as well. Like that. Uh, 283 kilometer periapsis. 150, 128. We'll say our entry envelope, we'll set it right at under 200. Because our graveyard orbit is slightly above that. Right, so 360, 350, that's the graveyard orbit. And then low Kerbin orbit down at sub 150. So keep it in between our low Kerbin orbit and our graveyard orbits, so we're not interfering with other spacecraft. Not that I'm worried about colliding with another spacecraft, but it is prudent planning, let's say. And then we'll bring that right there. 178, I think that's good enough. This maneuver node is in 1 year and 39 days. Long ways into the future. We'll go ahead and lock on it and time warp to it. Oh. Now we'll time warp to it. And this will also give us an opportunity to transmit some more science once this starts to build up. Okay, I'm going to stop time warp now. Let's transmit. Oh my goodness, cat. You really want some attention, huh? Oh my goodness, do you just want me to pet you? Yeah. Yeah, you silly thing. Do you like the microphone? Does that feel good? Do you like rubbing your face on the microphone? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, cat. You're funny. Just want me to scratch you? Stop biting my finger. Cut that out. Yeah, you silly. You silly. Well, my science just transmitted. Did you see that, kitty? Science just transmitted. How fun is that? How fun is that? Okay. Can you sit in my lap and behave, or are you going to go crazy? You're going to fall. Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to let the cat sit here. And I guess it can help me plan my next orbital maneuvers. Yeah, are you going to be my mission assistant? Are you mission assistant? All right, you can be mission assistant. Good girl. Okay, never mind. She didn't want the responsibility. She left. No, you didn't want the responsibility. You can go away now. All right, 30 days. And I got another 1,000 and 5,000 science on board. So we'll go ahead and transmit again. Again, these science labs will... Ow! Hey, don't bite. Rude. These labs really do crank up the science production by quite a bit. Let's go ahead and throttle all the way up on our engine. And this one should be relatively short duration burn. Only 50 meters per second. Not terrible at all. This will be enough to get us into a low Kerbin orbit. Should be. Or a low Kerbin flyby. It won't be enough to get us into orbit. We've got a ways to go to get to orbit. I'm going to view the burn here from Kerbin, and then once we're close, I'm going to turn the burn node off, and we'll just manually kind of fare it in from there. Which can't quite see. Oh, there it is. There's the periapsis coming in. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. We're on our trajectory. I'm not going to mess with the trajectory or anything. We'll just throttle down. Looks like we were a little high. I think normal vector is the direction we want to point for this. Nope, it's going to be anti-normal. Never mind, I just realized it's going to be anti-normal. Because we were closer to the anti-normal node. And apparently we were not close enough. Because now this is way up here. So let's start pushing this down a little bit. Oh, aborting transmission. Oh my goodness, we've run out of battery. Okay, that's pretty good. 150 kilometer orbit, or 150 kilometer pass there. Let's let the batteries charge back up and then try transmitting again. Transmit both. And we will time warp, let that slowly work up here. So we will reach Kerbin in 1 year and 113 days. Bring this mission to a close. As soon as we finish this transmission, we're going to switch back to the Endurance, which should be up here in a higher orbit. Yep, it's right there next to Clocky Station. Now, the Endurance should have quite a bit of antimatter on hand at this point. It's been orbiting for a year in this higher orbit, or almost 2 years now. So theoretically, it should be ready to leave whenever we get the next transfer window to Eve or Drez. But before we go to that, well, let's get this in. 17, 23. This one had less size. It was 5,000 and 1,000, so this one will be faster. What does that bring us to total for science? Over 30,000? 34,000 when it's all said and done? That's the kind of numbers I like to see. We don't have much left, though, on the station. We have 2,000 data and 53 data. It's very, very little science left. Probably only a couple thousand more. Which, I said very little science left, a couple thousand more. But at the high end of the tech tree, each tech node costs 8,000 science or more. FTL science on its own, the very last one that unlocks the Alcubierre drive that we're working towards, it is a 20,000 science tech point. So let's see what we can afford here. We've closed out a lot of the tech tree between the last streams. I'm going to go get artificial consciousness and high power electric systems. I want to push up the advanced fusion rockets chain. And then we'll get quantum gravity, which this is one of 3 that we need. Extreme plasma propulsion. And then the last one we need to get FTL is extreme high energy physics. So we're 5,000 short from that, and then 20,000 short from getting the Alcubierre drive. So 25,000 science at a minimum that we still need to get. We do have other things we can hit on the way, though. Specialized fusion rockets is one. I'm less interested in these 3 here. I don't think they're going to really do much for us anymore. The Mach effect drive. What? That's interesting. Almost no thrust. It uses vacuum plasma. Okay. That's interesting. I don't think we're going to use it, but it is interesting. There are some interesting things we have unlocked that I do want to utilize, actually. So we have the atmospheric particle scoop. And then we also have, somewhere in here, the radial atmospheric scoop. And I want to see if we can, in a future rocket design probably, if we can get liquid hydrogen and liquid methane from orbit without ever touching down. If we could do that, then we could get a rocket that never needs to return to Kerbin, which is pretty cool. And it also never needs to be refueled. It can do it all itself internally. We do have exotic radiators we could get. The graphene clover radiator, I think, is actually really, really efficient. But it can't pivot. It's very efficient, but it can't pivot. What's the other one? The graphene blanket radiator. But once it's out, it can't be recalled. So not as ideal for a ship. And then what's the extreme heat management? This actually does upgrade our antimatter catalyzed fusion plasma engine. Ooh, that's worth it on its own. So if we could get just a little bit more, we can make the existing engine we already have way more efficient. Well, we'll probably do that. In the meantime, so here's the contract. Return a sample from Comet Teffield 1. I think we should take that one. Volcanic rock on Eve back to Kerbal. No, not going to do that quite yet. 15 asteroids passing Duna's orbit. Probably not going to do that either. 7 asteroids threatening Kerbin. That one we can do. We'll take that contract. And then I'm tempted to do these, but we might wait until we have something that can get down to orbit. Now, we still have 6,769,000. And the endurance is really good, but it's... I actually wish I had redesigned it. We may decommission it after we do this mission. Because it's a little limited. We're going to add something to it right now. We're going to fly up a little piece to it. We need a lander, you know, something to get us down onto the comet's surface. And so we're going to build a rocket to get a lander up to the ship. This is going to be pretty basic in design. We'll just have this smaller remote guidance unit. Actually, make it much smaller. What if we made it much, much smaller? What if we made it this big? And then we put some fuel tanks on it. Right? Like, we made this thing teeny tiny, basically. Because it doesn't need hardly any thrust to get down onto a comet surface. In fact, I don't even know if it needs thrust to get down onto a comet surface. In fact, what is even the contract for? Take a surface sample? Yeah, I think we have to land on the comet, right? To accomplish that? I think so. But I don't know so. We'll do this. We'll do little fuel tank. And then just for cosmetic sake, we get the donut tank out. That's right. We get the donut out. And then we put the spark engine. Haven't used the spark in a while. But it is actually a very efficient engine for this kind of application. We put that on it. And then for ground, we use the microstruts. Keep it simple. We put 2 little seats on it. And we can actually put them a little forwards, I think. Let's put some reaction control wheels on it. And then some electrical, right? Gotta have some power generation. But we don't need a ton, so just a couple small solar panels. Yeah, that should be good. And then we start the science, right? We'll bring some science equipment. Mystery goo container on the back. Maybe behind the seats and rotated slightly. Like that. I don't think that looks terrible now, does it? We'll need a way to attach this to the ship itself. And we'll also need a communitron. Not going to overthink it with the communitron. We'll just put a single 16S right there. Right here. I'm going to rotate it vertically. Like that. Now let's add the actual science blocks. So, again, keeping it simple. Temperature. Where's pressure? Where's pressure? Pressure. Gravity. And they can just scrunch up right there. We'll also bring an accelerometer. And I think that's it. I think that's all we need. Not going to bother with like landing, or not landing legs, a ladder or anything. It's just going to come down and sit. Because there's really nothing else that I want to try and do here. My only other thought would be to have a little refinery we could bring to it, but I've never actually tried mining a comet before in this game, and I don't know how it would work. Call this the comet lander. Someone in the chat tell me if I'm going down the right path with this. Do comets have gravity? Or are they just huge asteroids? I don't know. But I made a thing, and we're gonna try. We're gonna try anyway. Okay. So now, how to attach this to the ship is the next question. I don't think it's reasonable to try using a regular docking port. It's literally too small. But we could do a grabbing unit. And then if we just scooted these... Nope. Not like that. Not at all like that. Just scooted these out of the way of it. We don't even have to dock it. We could just stick it onto the rocket. And that could be an option. I think that is going to be the option. I think that's how we're going to play it. Let's go coupling. Throw a decoupler on it. Should not need a very big rocket for this. 1.875 meter shell should be enough. It almost fits without even having to expand the shell out, but not quite, unfortunately. That's fine. Fuel tanks. Engines. No, fuel tanks. Sorry. Where is it? Where is it? It's up here. There it is. FLT with a cheetah. And then we'll add the bottom half of the stage. And that gives us 3,000 meters per second of delta V. That's plenty to get up to the ship. Plenty. Let's do the bigger fuel tanks. And the Bobcat, and I think that's it. I think that's all we need. 1.25. Yeah. 5,000 meters per second of delta V plus what's on the little lander. We probably want some batteries. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we're going to want a couple batteries. For the lander itself, we'll keep it to 4. And I'm going to tuck these in so that just the battery cells themselves are visible. Like that. Yeah, that looks not terrible. And that should be it. Let's launch it. We'll add this to our ship, right? And then from there we can take that and Teffield 1, we'll try and get a rendezvous with it. It may even work as a lander for, like, Dres, potentially. We could take it down to Dres. I don't know what Dres looks like gravity-wise. I've actually never been. I don't think most people have been to Dres. KSP Dres. just going to look it up on the wiki. Is it a big planet with a lot of gravity? We're about to find out. I'm going to launch this. Okay, we're up. It looks like Dres is actually very small with a very light gravity. We may be able to land on it with that little lander, which I think would be kind of funny. Not gonna lie, I think that'd be pretty funny to take that tiny thing down there. Not even pressurized capsules, literally in your suit, strapped to the top of the thing. But it would work, you know? It would get you there. We're coming along now. We'll go to 2 times time acceleration, 3 times time acceleration. Still got 1,000 meters per second left up here. And I'm going to kind of burn past a traditional low curve in orbit. We're going to go straight to our upper orbit here, since we are trying to get out to a much higher target. Ditch the fairing. Ditch the bottom stage. Go ahead and throttle all the way up here. And we'll come up to a lower orbit to the target. Start at the lower orbit and then work our way up. At least that's the idea. It'll make the intercept a little bit easier to start from behind and below. And then we can plan our shot up to it. I do want my periapsis and apoapsis lined up. That'll make it a little bit easier, because now we can just push out from here. Oh, hello again, kitty cat. Hello again. No, not the face, not the face. Okay, all right, be nice. Let's try and find. That's not really it. Okay, we're gonna wait a pass, because we're too close behind it. We need to be maybe 30 degrees in phase angle behind it before we can get a decent intercept. All right, let's try here. Now I can just move this around and see when it works. Maybe here? What gets this close? Come on, give me a close intercept. It's like more over here then. Oh, there it is. That's the intercept we were looking for. Okay. So we're going to treat this a little bit more like a planetary transfer than a normal rendezvous, at least in terms of the manner with which I'm conducting it. That's pretty close, right? That's pretty close to being lined up. Time warp to it. Burn is in 42 minutes with an intercept an hour and 15 minutes away. Oh, hello. Are you ready to be my mission assistant again? Come here. Come here. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. You goober. You're a little goober, you know that? Yeah, you're a little goober. You like this when I scratch your ear like this? Yeah. Do you just need attention right now? Sit on my lap. Sit. Just sit here. Just sit here. I'll pet you if you stay. See? That's good. That's good. Okay. Goodbye anyway. Stupid cat. Doesn't want attention. Wants attention. Can't make up its mind. All right. 40 seconds away from our burn node. 7-second burn total. We'll start it at about the T-4 mark. 7, 6, 5, 4. Throttle up. 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. That looks pretty good. What's that get us? 31.3 kilometer separation from target. And it looks like it's all in the vertical plane, which is easy to correct because we can just go anti-normal. And we can bring that down from 30 now down to 2 kilometers. Overshot a little bit, but within reason, I think. Let's go target frame of reference and lock retrograde to target, because we're going to want to decelerate as we get close here. Where is the target? There it is. All right, 100 meters per second, closing in 12 kilometers away. This will be a pretty quick rendezvous here. 7, 6, 5, 4. All right, light the engine. I'm also going to try and push my vector onto it a little bit, like that. There we go. Now we have a 100-meter intercept in a couple of minutes. There's the station right there. Quick little correction burn, keep us on track and start slowing us down some more. Okay, we're just going to hold retrograde at this point. And I'm going to arm the grabber. Almost there. $80 meters. All right, finish slowing down. Oh, too far, too far. Flip course. Overshot. I went full throttle instead of no throttle there. Apologies. Okay. There we go. So a little bit more cautiously approach the target. I didn't bring any RCS. RCS is for chumps. Instead, I'm just going to get us nice and lined up and then attach us to probably the fuel tank back here. I don't see any real reason to do... to attach to like the lab or anything. Going for the fuel tank will keep us, I think, better out of the way. Probably want to put a thrust limiter on this engine since I'm using it for my primary engine for maneuvers. And let's... Can I not just target the fuel tank directly? I suppose not. Okay. It's fine. It does not need to be perfect. I just want to be, for the most part, lined up on it. Okay. That's good enough. I'm just going to go ever so slightly down here. A little bit more of a thrust limiter. Okay. Now it's simply a matter of aiming at the ship. And that looks to be fairly lined up. I think we actually did a decent job here. Because that'll grab on. And we can ditch the upper stage here. So decouple that. And we have ourselves a just latched on lander. But it'll do. We could... Well, you don't have an engineer on board. I was going to say we could have someone get out and, like, tie it on with some struts. We do have some struts available, but I don't think we really need to. As far as antimatter goes, we've gone from 1,300 to 4,300. Let's go. That's going to give us plenty of fuel for this mission. I don't think we need really anything else. It's just a matter of making sure we're lined up for it. So let's see where this comet is. And we're going after Teffield 1, right? So it's the lower energy of the two, which is good. It is way out there. Okay. What about other options? There's Eve. Could we get an intercept with Eve in a reasonable time frame? Maybe not. I don't think we actually have a window. No, doesn't look like it. Oh, there was a very slight window that just opened up. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I'm completely wrong about that. Okay, so not quite an option. I mean, it is actually kind of an option. So here's the thing. Transfer windows are... kind of fake. Well, no, that's not the right way to state it. When you talk about a transfer window, you're assuming a minimum thrust burn, right? But it turns out that if you just give it all she's got, you can get an intersect just about anywhere. So, like, look right there. For a second, we had an intersect. Now, is that an efficient way to get to Eve? Absolutely not. In no way is that an efficient intercept course. But, you know, it's like an option. Okay, so Eve, no. We don't have a shot at Eve. What about Dres? We're slightly below Dres's orbit. Or slightly behind and below Dres's orbit. So theoretically, we could get a window to it. What would that look like? Actually does not look like we get one. But if we did something like this... Oh, I think we actually did get an intercept there briefly. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, disregard. So we're not in a window for either of those. We could just point... Oh, no, we didn't get an intercept at it because it's so low in inclination. Okay, that's going to be the challenge with Dres. What's the actual... Hold on. Kerbin needs to be about 80 degrees behind Dres, which it's definitely not right now. And Kerbin needs to be about 45 degrees ahead of Eve. So no transfer window for either, it would appear. That's fine. We've got a little bit more time. We could stock up some more antimatter. And then we can also wait a little bit longer for Teffield to get into a lower orbit. So all of those are, you know, fine courses of action. In the meantime, We do have a contract we can make some progress on. That being mapping another 7 asteroids. Let's switch to our infrared space telescope, and we can map a couple more here. Let's see. Reach the designated orbit within a reasonable deviation. We need to be in a higher orbit. Okay. Let's raise our orbit then. Okay, that was all we needed to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's that contract done. We do need more money if we're going to buy the Alcubierre drives when we unlock them. So I do want to see if there's any more contracts available while we're waiting for all these things to happen, right? We're waiting for the Hermes to get back from Joule, and we're waiting for some transfer windows between us and Eve, and then eventually Eve and Drez, or when Teffield 1 Comet finally comes back around for another low pass that we can intercept it on. You know, we can't really do anything right now, mission-wise. But we can do contracts like these. Oh, look, science data from space around that moon we just left. That's fun. Science data from the surface of Val. No. These are all kind of dumb. This one I'm canceling. Kenfrid from orbit of Kerbal. We'll accept that one. 11 asteroids. Ooh, here we go. This one pays out a little over 2 mil. That's a good one to take. Yeah, let's do those. That brings some cash back into the program. Cash has been kind of the limiting factor for us for a while now. Ultimately, I don't know exactly how much the Alcubierre drives cost, but that rocket is going to be expensive. No matter how you slice it, it's going to be expensive. The beam core antimatter engine that we could use has... It's like 17 million to build that rocket, just for the engine. Not even anything that goes around the engine, just purely the engine. So Kenfrid's right here. We'll rescue him. Kenmol's capsule, we can terminate this. We've already gotten that guy. Kenfrid's over here, so we'll rescue him. That's fine. Let's go set up our Overwatch satellite. Looks like he's already on the desired orbit, which is good. That means we just need to control him briefly to reset it, and then we'll start mapping those asteroids. And then really all that's left now is waiting, right? Like that's what it comes down to, waiting for the science labs to finish processing the last of their juice, their sweet, sweet science juice, and then waiting for our windows for transfers. Map 11 asteroids threatening Kerbal with an inclination of greater than 12. Okay, it's easy. 2. Already 2 out of 11. While we wait for this to happen, let's switch back to the ship that's on its way back to Kerbal. Take control of this guy real quick and see what new science data it has available to us. Shouldn't be a ton. It's not going to be like thousands, but at least a couple hundred, right? Oh no, it's thousands again. All right, well, 1,700 in this one. 90 in this one. This one's about tap dry, it would seem. 50, 57, 64, 71, 78. It's getting closer. That brings us up to 2,000. 6,400 science would get us enough to upgrade our antimatter engine again. Make it more powerful. Okay, back at the Space Center. Test Attila thruster in a flight over Kerbin. Plant a flag on Duna. Advanced rover scan of a lathe boulder. Yeah. You'd launch a satellite to the moon. This one would be good. Z200 rechargeable battery bank on the spacecraft. You know, we could do this. This has a good advance. And we could put a Z200 on our ship before we send it anywhere. Let's accept that one. And we can just go to Duna while we're flying around. That's actually not unreasonable. I don't think we really want to do any of the other ones. This one, I'm going to cancel. And the rest of these I don't care about. Okay. Well, that's, I think, where we're going to leave the stream today. I'm kind of running out of time. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We got a good bit done. Like, just looking at our research and development, right? We are in the final lap here. The real end game. We've got, like, the final couple pieces of technology to unlock. And then we're pretty much ready to go with the Alcubierre drives. Which is pretty exciting. We're going to have to figure out how to use these. That's going to be a challenge in of itself. Or like how to put this in orbit. Like, I don't know how you put a 44-ton warp drive in orbit unless you build it in orbit. Orbital assembly is something we've unlocked, but I don't actually understand how these work. Maybe we need to build an orbital shipyard, and that's going to require a lot of like ore, which means we need to bring asteroids down into low Kerbin orbit. If that's the case, that's something we can do, but we just need to figure out what that's going to entail. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys have enjoyed the series. We've gone for quite a while now, and I will see you all in the next live stream. So everyone take care. Have a great rest of your days, and see you around.